On the menu today, it's egg, and all the different ways we can cook it, with the help of Julia Child, of course.
Oh! Bon appetit.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to my home, and welcome to yours, just for this little chunk of time here. And I'm gonna do something today that I've been putting off for years, and that is the egg chapter from Mastering the Art of French Cooking from Julia Child. Once an egg is taken out of the breakfast category and put to use as a hot entree, a luncheon, or a supper dish, it offers a great variety of presentations, and you can draw on practically your whole cooking experience for its saucing and garnishing. Now, there's been two reasons why I've been stalling with this egg chapter here. First reason is it's eggs, you know, oof. Now, how am I gonna make a video about eggs? I just can't make scrambled eggs, call it a day. So then I thought, why don't I just make them all? There you go, problem solved. Second reason is just the French omelet. You know, it kind of scares me, freaks me out a little bit, just because it was like a technique that you really need to master to be able to call yourself an omelet maker. And I dabbled briefly on my own trying to do this to middling, it's kind of horrible results. But I'm gonna give it my all because I want to know. I need to know. All right, so all the different ways to cook an egg out of this book. Let's begin the Egg-A-Thon now. So our first method is gonna be called Oeufs en Cocotte, which is eggs baked in ramekins. Very generously butter up the inside. Pour in 1 tablespoon of whipping cream. Baking pan with 1/4 inch of simmering water. Ramekin with the cream. Once the cream is hot, 2 eggs, cover with another tablespoon of cream. Just bring it over here for a second just to say hi. Cream went overboard, but that's fine. And then you just want to dot with some little pieces of butter into the middle rack of a 375-degree oven for 7 to 10 minutes. I should mention that in the cream that I was adding in with the eggs, you can add herbs here, herbs, whatever you call them. Just be you. I have chives and parsley, and I was gonna do so, and then I forgot to add it in the cream. Now, she said between 7 to 10 minutes. This was closer to 10, but she also says don't overcook it. It's gonna be just set, but slightly trembling. I'd say that's between slightly and very much trembling, but yeah, she says don't overcook it. Chopped chives on the very top. So, order up. There's gonna be a lot of order ups today, so let's just take it easy on the first one. Starting off on a somewhat confusing note. Is it supposed to be this soupy? It's not really set, but also I added 2 tablespoons of whipping cream in there, so I feel like I should just redo this. Maybe keep it in the oven for like 15 minutes. We'll go from there. And this looks more acceptable. I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking for. I looked at photos online and they all look like this. It's got a tremble to it, but it still appears to be set. Remove that from the tray and just let it hang out in the ramekin just to cook slightly more, maybe another 5 minutes. Season some more chives on top. I think that's how it's supposed to be. It tastes exactly how it looks. It's eggs, cream, butter, seasoned, chives. Thankfully I had the bread. If I didn't have the bread, I don't think I'd even like it because you need something to dunk it. Because if you don't, then it's just soup. Anyway, I don't know what else to say about this. I've made it 3 times. That's over cooked. I gotta move on. I take a time out over here to thank this episode's sponsor, Maiden. So I've been cooking with Maiden's cookware for around a year now, and it's getting pretty serious. We're almost exclusive. And that's because Maiden really values quality. Their stuff is good, and it's so good that you're gonna find it in Michelin star restaurants like Chicago's Alinea. I got the cookbook. I may regret that. Now, although their stuff is professional quality, it's designed for us home cooks, like their stainless steel collection. These are my go-tos. The 12-inch and the 10-inch frying pan and the saucier, they are in heavy rotation because they can take it. They have this premium 5-ply stainless steel material that sets it apart from the other pans out there. So you're gonna be able to control the heat much better and evenly distribute it, whether it's on the stove or in the oven, up to 800 degrees Fahrenheit. So check out Maiden's stainless steel collection as well as their other cookware and use the link in my description to save some money. Thank you, Maiden. Next up is Shirred Eggs. Oeufs miroir. Mirror eggs. A shirred egg is one that is broken into a small, flat, buttered dish and cooked quickly under the broiler. The white is softly set and tender, and the yolk is liquid, but covered by a shimmering, translucent film. A shirred eggs should never be attempted in the oven as it toughens them. You just said under the broiler. Broiler is in the oven. Maybe that's what she's okay. Anyway. Julia says it's cool to use a muffin tin because that's the perfect size for it, because these are like molded eggs. I was watching her make this on her show. She says that's cool, so I'm like, all right, cool, thanks. Anyway, I gotta heat this up on the, I don't know, she says to heat it up. Is this meant for direct heat? I'm not sure because it's starting to smoke, but that just might be the remnants of muffins from the past. Half a tablespoon of butter. So as soon as that butter has melted, in goes the eggs, and then cook for 30 seconds on the heat until the egg white starts to line the base of the pan. Remove from the heat, tilt the dish, and baste the egg with the butter. A minute or so before serving, place the dish an inch under the hot broiler, sliding it in and out every few seconds. So around an inch from the broiler, baste it, and then baste it. So the egg white's gotta be set and the egg yolk's glistening like the mirror. Did cook that longer than she said, but that egg white did not set even a little bit. That looks fairly unappetizing. Okay, I'll do it again. Okay, so I mean, that one's holding its shape. That is not. Probably 4 minutes under the broiler, even though Julia said 1, that's probably 10 minutes. But I don't know if the egg yolk is runny, so let's find out. Order up. That's what I was after. Hallelujah. The white of the plate with the white of the egg was just not working for me, so I have it on the cutting board. Don't worry, it's clean. Okay. Best of the day so far. Interesting. Basically a poached egg, except covered in butter and a little more difficult to make. I mean, more finicky to make. I mean, this recipe was, times were way off, so it begs the question, why not just poach an egg? You know what I'm gonna do? So we're gonna make some poached eggs, and this is more of like, I'm gonna make you watch me make them again, because I've made them so many times on this show. That's all right. It's nice to compare with what came before it and what's gonna come after it. So poached eggs it is, and I'm gonna do 2 different methods. So we're gonna crack an egg into, you know, something like that. That's how I would usually poach an egg, but Julia has mention of another method for this in another cookbook where she does this thing called a 10-second firm up. And that's where I take I'm using a trussing needle here just to get it started. And then with the pin, I'm just gonna poke that in so the hole is tiny. Where's my spider? There it is. I'm gonna drop this into boiling water for 10 seconds only. So with this 10-second firm up, she says it's gonna give a little more cohesion to the egg white in here. I don't know if I'll ever be able to tell. That's why I'm doing this test here. Just barely simmering water here. This water is 2 inches high. I'm gonna add in around a tablespoon of vinegar. So 2 things happen with that vinegar. Firstly, it's gonna have the eggs hold their shape better when they get dropped in here. Secondly, the egg whites, they coagulate as soon as they hit the water. Let's do the whirlpool effect. The egg as close to the water as possible, drop it in. 4 minutes. You know, floating around like it's a little plastic bag in there. Let's remove. Looks pretty good. And on to a plate with paper towel. With another vortex going, let's drop in the one that had that 10-second firm up. Let's just crack on a little salt, pepper. So I think that's in order up with the poached eggs. That's parsley. According to Julia, the perfect specimen here is an oval shape with the white wrapped around the yolk. In terms of oval shape, I would say that is more successful. This is the au naturel. This is with that 10-second firm up. Honestly, this one looks better. Here's the au naturel. Oh dear, I was looking for a runny yolk with that one. It kind of cooked. Luckily, I made a backup. And there we go. Hell yeah. Cut this one open. That's what you're looking for. I think it's a case closed between the shirred egg and the poached egg. I don't really see a need for the other method, unless you just want to poach it in butter, but that's your thing. Go for it. But I mean, I could just easily pour melted butter on top of a poached egg and then there you have it. Also, I don't need the 10-second firm up for the poached egg in my life either. Busted that myth also. You know what she doesn't have in this cookbook here is a hard-boiled egg recipe. Well, she has a 6-minute boiled egg, but you get a soft yolk. I'm thinking it would be much more beneficial to find Julia Child's hard-boiled egg recipe, follow that instead of the 6-minute. So I found it. It's in the Way to Cook cookbook. She has what she claims to be the perfect hard-boiled egg. I'm doing hard-boiled eggs all the time, and if there's a perfect hard-boiled egg recipe, I'm all ears, because I would like to know. End of sentence. I would like to know. Yeah. The perfect HB egg has a tender white, and she's shortened hard-boiled to HB. That is something I would do. And a yolk properly set. And the perfect HB egg shows not the faintest darkening of yolk where the white encircles it. A most unappetizing chemical reaction shown to the right in the photo. Oh yeah. That's caused by too much heat. Furthermore, the perfect HB egg can be peeled neatly. This system here that she hasn't developed it, the Georgia Egg Board has, but she says it takes a bit of fussing, but it does produce the perfect HB egg, and what a blessing that is when you've several dozen to do. Let's just do 2. One for the show, one for tomorrow morning. There is a bubble of air in the large end of the egg which expands when the egg is heated and can crack the shell. To let the air escape, always prick the large end with an egg pricker or a pin. 2 quarts of water, aka 2 liters of cold water. And that's how much water I'll use for between 1 to 4 eggs. So in go my 2. We're not boiling these eggs, we are now bringing them to a boil. Stop it. Cover it off the heat, and I have to leave that just like that, 17 minutes. No more, no less. "17. Remove the eggs into a bowl of ice water. And I gotta let those hang for exactly 2 minutes. She says that this 2-minute water bath is gonna shrink the body of the egg from the shell. Now we gotta bring those eggs back to the boiling water and bring that up to a boil again. Once it's to a boil and you wait 10 seconds, you remove them, and this is going to expand the shell from the eggs. Now those go back into the cold water again. While they're in the water, you crack them gently in a few places. If you have the time, you can leave them in here for around 15 to 20 minutes. It's going to make them easier to peel. I have the time. She says the best way to peel these eggs is either in the sink under a stream of cold water or just peel them in this bowl under the water. Start at the large end of the egg and then work your way to the top. That is a nice peel. Nearly a perfect peel. I won't say perfect, so I'm looking out for the dolefully discolored dark line that surrounds the egg yolk. It better not be there. That's pretty good. Did discover the faintest dark line surrounding these eggs, and I didn't see it at first, and now I can't unsee it. It's very faint. We do not have our everything bagel spice in the house right now. That would have been perfect on those eggs. Instead, I gotta make my own. Black sesame seeds, plain sesame seeds, onion powder, garlic powder, and sea salt flakes. And if you had poppy seeds, you use poppy seeds. Mix that all together onto the eggs, like so. That's an order up on the hard-boiled eggs. You know, there's so many different ways to achieve a hard-boiled egg. There's a lot of steps involved with this one and a longer cook time, like 17 minutes. That's a long time. I can find a recipe for around half of that, and it usually looks around the same. The one thing that this recipe really needs credit with is the whole peeling part of it, because that was an easy, clean peel. There's nothing worse than trying to peel a hard-boiled egg that will not peel and you just start tearing off all the egg white. I hate that. We avoided all of that, and we have something, I don't know, how much more do you want to talk about hard-boiled eggs for? I'm done. Hey you, this is the next day. Well, actually I've been filming this video over the course of a few days. I wasn't just gonna eat all those egg recipes in just one day. That was just crazy talk. Although I wish I had, because today, when you know it, they're just tearing up the entire street that's just outside of those windows behind you. You hear that jackhammer? Music to my ears. This is not a good circumstance. They're on lunch break, so I have some time to make some scrambled eggs, and I make scrambled eggs almost every morning. I've never actually followed Julia's methods before, and she has one out of this book, and then I just found she has one out of this book. So I'm, of course, gonna make both. Let's start with this one. Scrambled eggs in French are creamy, soft curds that just hold their shape from fork to mouth. Their preparation is entirely a matter of stirring the eggs over gentle heat until they slowly thicken as a mass into a custard. Love it. All right, so stop reading, start making, because I don't know how much time I have before the hammering begins once again. Boomy! Thank you. Add 3 eggs, and then she says to add in some milk or water. So I'm gonna add in around half a teaspoon of liquid per eggs. That's 1.5. I know there's discrepancies when to season scrambled eggs. Some people do it at the very end, some people do it while it's in the pan. Julia here is asking for them to be done right now. So that's what I shall do. And I gotta whisk for like 30 seconds. Whisked. All right, so let me just move that. Let me come over to the stove. How about there? Okay, so when it says moderately low heat, you go to medium, and then you just go 1/3 from there, and then that would be 2/3 from low, and preferably a non-stick pan. For 3 eggs, it's around a tablespoon worth of butter, and smearing up the sides and the base. In go the eggs. While I was whisking those eggs, or right now while the eggs are still running, you could add in your herbs, whether it's chives or parsley or chervil, whatever you'd like. Stirring slowly and all over the bottom of the pan, and for the first 2 to 3 minutes, she says that you're gonna feel like you're doing nothing. So once I get this turning into something that resembles a custard, then I can start stirring rapidly. Off the heat, keep it stirring. On the heat, keep it stirring. Off the heat. On the heat. 3/4 of a tablespoon of butter. That's gonna stop the cooking process and it's gonna enrich it. I mean, that took a long time to do. That took over 10 minutes to get to this point on that low heat. And they look fairly just dark and kind of weird looking, and I would say for 3 eggs that really did not yield that much, but it does keep its shape on the fork, so there's something. I said there's something. Very creamy, very buttery, very good. Was that correct? What I'm thinking I'm gonna do here, because I am also running out of eggs and I still got omelets to make, is I'm going to combine the recipe I was just following with aspects to this one that were interesting. Okay, I'm gonna use a smaller frying pan this time around because I thought there was just too much space the other time. Okay, the butter all over the base and the sides, and go the eggs. What you're supposed to do, Jamie, is reserve 2 tablespoons of the egg. For now, just put that off to the side for a second and let's keep stirring. I'm slowly scraping the sides and the bottom of the pan. She says, do not rush them, but in 2 to 3 minutes, they should become a soft, lumpy custard. And you can take it off the heat, bring it back to the heat. I was probably just stirring way too fast the first time because now I'm allowing the eggs to scramble by leaving them on the heat just a bit more, but keeping it stirring and moving it towards the center. Yes. Here's the cool part. I gotta add in the 2 tablespoons of the eggs to cream the scramble. And then I just need to stir this for a couple more seconds. So I just added in some chives just to, you know, and now I'm gonna take it off the heat. Okay, and then she says if you want, you can add in a little more butter. Some more chives on top. And I've tried this twice now and they both look very similar. So this must be what she's aiming for. She was saying around 2 to 3 minutes, but it was still very runny. So I let it go for around 6-ish minutes, maybe just a tad more, 6, 7. And this is what my results are. You're really not achieving that fluff. They're not very fluffy. She says that these eggs need to be creamy, but you can stop once you've hit your desired consistency. But I don't know, this is fairly, this one had you add milk or water at the beginning. This one did not. It had you adding the 2 tablespoons of raw eggs in with the scrambled eggs. I think I like the latter. It's kind of a boss move. I'm gonna try Julia's recipe one more time, but I'm gonna do a couple things my way. No liquid this time and adding in all but 2 tablespoons of those eggs. Once I got a bit of a scrambled custard going on here. Okay, add in the rest of the eggs. After 2.5 minutes on a medium heat, that's looking much better. Let's add in some butter. That is a nice looking egg. That's between creamy and fluffy now. Oh, looks pretty nice. I took out all that anxious, nervous energy I have when I'm following a recipe for the first time, and I just went in there with like confidence. I was like, okay, well, I make scrambled eggs every single day. You know how to do it. Do it your way, but add Julia's techniques. There we have it. That's much better. As opposed to Julia's method, which took me upwards to 7 minutes, over 10 minutes the first try. This took only 2.5 minutes because it's the medium heat. Just stirring with integrity, you know? We've made it to the omelets. This is the finale. We have 2 of them to make, a scrambled omelet and a rolled omelet. The rolled omelet's the one that intimidates me because you want it to look very French. So a good French omelet is a smooth, gently swelling golden oval that is tender and creamy inside. And as it takes less than half a minute to make, it is ideal for a quick meal. There's a trick to omelets, and certainly the easiest way to learn is to ask an expert to give you a lesson. My expert. The difficulty with all written recipes for omelets is that before you even start to make one, you must read and remember and visualize the directions from beginning to end and practice the movements. For everything must go so quickly once the eggs are in the pan that there is no time at all to stop in the middle and pore over your book in order to see what comes next. Okay, bowl. Thank you. I have a total of 10 eggs remaining. So that means I have basically 3 kicks at the can here. I need a big pinch of salt, big pinch of pepper. I whisk these until they're blended, 20 to 30 seconds. Let's go over here. Gulp. So an omelet cannot be made in a sticky pan. This is a non-stick with your left hand and thumb on top and immediately start sliding. Fork, tilt 45 degrees over the heat and rapidly gather the egg in the far lip of the pan. Still holding the pan over the heat, run your fork under the lip of the pan, under the omelet to ensure that it's... Didn't do that. Let's do this. High heat. Very high heat. Okay, so I got some butter and I have a fork. This is a plastic fork, so I don't screw up my pan. Julia uses a metal fork, as do other people, but I don't want to do that today unless I have to, so I'm just gonna see if I can push it to the limit with this takeout fork. Butter goes in. Once the butter foam begins to subside, that's when I'm ready to add these eggs. All right, you're gonna do moving your hand and the plastic fork. 3 to 4 seconds, they will become light and broken custard. Then lift the pan to the tilt the blah 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 in a 45-degree. All right, I'll talk later. I just made scrambled eggs and things happened really, really fast. One Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. Okay, and then you tilt it on a 45-degree angle and then you stick the fork underneath, and then she says, knock it, the handle. So once you've dislodged it, off the heat, how about that? Roll it over one way and roll it over a second way. No, that's not gonna work. Something like this. That's better. So here's what's gonna happen, because I'm running out of eggs. I'm gonna combine the efforts here of the scrambled omelet using the fork, but shaking the pan like this and trying to achieve that rolled omelet. Because I've watched other videos where everyone is just always using a fork to even get the rolled omelet, where she doesn't mention the fork for that one. I'm not gonna be able to talk while I'm doing this, as I have found out. So I'm gonna be rapidly shaking the pan, and then once they all start to stick to the base of the pan, I'm gonna move the bulk of the eggs to this side of the pan, while there's a thin layer cooking away, sticking to this side. And then once that happens, can I just show you? Cool. Eggs go in. Man, that happens fast. All right, so I have officially run out of eggs. This is my last kick at the can. All hands on deck.
Au contrary to what I did before, just letting the eggs get into large curd here with the bowl.
All right, since I am a beginner, maybe a smaller pan might be beneficial for me. And we flip it onto the pan. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Have you seen the show The Bear?
One of the characters makes a French omelet and they add some crumpled up, some crunched up, words escape me right now. She adds ruffled potato chips, sour cream and onion on the very top. That's my contribution to that omelet there. That's their contribution. Order up. Center needs to remain soft and creamy. That's definitely so. You know what? This is pretty damn good. So I'll be honest here, while I was making that last omelet, I had Jacques Pepin video. It's on YouTube, you should check it out because he's making an omelet in real time. And I just was playing it at the same time that I was making mine. So I was just like, okay, watching him. I also don't think I'm the one that should be teaching anyone how to make an omelet. So if you want to watch the video that I was watching, it's much better. It's in the description. I'll just link it down below. Anywho, I did make an omelet and it was very, very good. I actually thought the potato chips on top were a nice touch. And you know what? It is really nice to eat something other than eggs. And how poetic is that? As soon as I'm done for the day, these guys are done too. Good job, guys. Okay, so that's it. That's all. This was Jamie and Julia, the guys outside. Jacques Pepin helped out a little bit. TV show The Bear. Bon appetit. Au revoir.
Bon appetit.
I'm about 99% sure that both of these cameras at the exact same time maxed out on recording while I was in the middle of making that omelet at like the most pivotal moment when I was rolling it up. I'll have to check the footage.
Then put it down in the corner, and you don't even want to
But I'm sure it's confirmed already. It's a shame.